So hello everyone, Raghavendran here once again. So let's just go ahead and continue the session. In the last session, we discussed a lot about Firebase authentication in depth. So today's session, we are gonna be discussing about Firebase database and Firebase storage. So first, let's get started with our code from where we left off. So wait a minute. We left off right here, I suppose. So we created a page of this sort, and I did not explain what this page is basically. So this is what we basically call a bottom navigation activity. And in this bottom navigation activity, you basically have two contents. You can see it in the component tree. It has two contents. One is the navigation view, which is the thing that lies below. Another is the nav host fragment. So what this nav view basically does is this nav view contains icons. If you click on any of these icons, the respective page will be loaded on the nav host fragment. So that is how this thing basically works. So let me get to the code part and say you how it goes internally. So as you can see, this nav view is something like it is placed in something like bottom nav menu. Okay, so let's navigate and find that menu. So as you can see, it is within our resources. We have something called menu. And within that we have our bottom nav menu. So this bottom nav menu is basically the place where you put all your icons and stuff. So if you can put how many ever icon you want, it is basically gonna just load that icon. So if I just copy that and put another item, so it will basically have another item, but it should have a different name. So we'll just change it to a different name. So as you can see, it will have another item. At the same time, my main activity will also have another item. So this is how it basically works. So what it does is this thing is just like a container which will have the number of icons and all the other relative stuff that you are going to place it at the bottom. So this bottom nav menu will be loaded into our bottom navigation activity as our nav view, and when you click on the icon, the respective nav view will be loaded. So nav host fragment will be loaded. So how this nav host fragment gets loaded will be explained in main activity 3. So I'll just get started from here. So what this line basically does is it initializes all the IDs of our navigation home, navigation dashboard, and navigation notification that we declared in our bottom nav menu. As you can see, we have our navigation home, navigation dashboard, and navigation notifications, which has been declared in our app bar configuration. So this basically builds out the container object in which all the items are placed. And what this nav controller basically does is when you click on an icon, the respective navigation fragment will be loaded onto your nav host fragment on your main activity 3.xml. So this part does not need any kind of changes. We are not supposed to change this main activity 3 or main activity 3.java because we don't have anything to change over there. We are just going to use this thing. So all our front end and back end stuff would have to be handled separately. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this main activity 3.java, and this activity may let it be there. We'll be using it later. So let it be there. First, let's just go ahead and change the name of these files because they do not suit our application. So first, I do not want it as dashboard. I want the center thing to be called as upload section. So I'll just put it as upload, and we'll extract the string resource. The same way, instead of notifications, I want it to be something called feeds. So I'm gonna put it as feeds. So let me put it as feeds, and I'll also extract that string resource. So the names have successfully been changed. You can also see the change over here in main activity 3. The name changed. At the same time, I want to change the name of the files too. So first, I'll just go ahead and I'll rename the dashboard into my upload. I'll just rename the file fragment upload. At the same time, I want my notifications to be named as fragment feeds. I'm doing this just so that I'm not getting confused when I code up. So I'm just renaming all those files, and at the same time I would have to rename all the above files too. My dashboard is basically my new upload. So I'm gonna rename as upload, and my this thing is my notification is gonna be my feeds. So I'm gonna rename it as feeds. At the same time, I would also have to rename it internally. So I'm just gonna go internally, and I'll also rename it right now. So we'll just go ahead. We'll rename it after, and we have rename. So within that rename, we are gonna rename it to feeds fragment. Feeds fragment. And this dashboard fragment is going to be renamed into upload fragment. Yeah. Naming it, and everything is done. Yeah. So let's just go right into our code part. We'll just close all these stuff. So now we have three folders and three respective frontends in regards to that folders. Like you have fragment home, and this is the fragment home is the front end of this thing, the home fragment. So we'll just open up the respective front end and back end. I'll tell you in comparison with an activity. So we'll also open up another activity in order to understand. So this is main activity 2. So this is the backend code for main activity 2. We'll just go ahead and close it. Yeah. So this is the front end of an activity, and this is the back end of an activity. So when you start up an activity, you put up all the declaration part before you instantiate the internal working of that activity, right? So before the instantiation part, before the on create part, you declare all the stuff that you are going to use in that. And then when the instantiation occurs, you instantiate each and every object that you have declared. The same goes even in the case of a fragment. So, but in the case of fragment, things are going to be a little different. So we'll just explain that part. So before that, as you can see, this is the on create view. That is, this is the instantiation part. We'll just close that up. This is the place where you are supposed to declare all the things that you are going to use. Okay, so this is the place where you declare all the edit text and buttons that you are going to use in your frame. There is no change in that part. But in the case of execution, you have something like on create view, right? So within this on create view, you would have to instantiate all the objects that you are going to use in your fragment. So this is the place where all the instantiations are going to take part. So this is the part where all the instantiations are going to take part. But then this part right there is the place where everything is going to run on real time. So this is the place where the execution is going to take place. This is the place where you declare, this is the place where you instantiate, and this is the place where you execute. So this is the place where a fragment is going to differ from an activity. At the same time, in an activity, the moment your code starts, you will set your view object to a specific content. Like you are using set content view r.layout.activity main2.xml. What this thing basically does is the current view object is basically set to your activity main2.xml. So whenever you use r.id.this thing, it knows that it has to get the object from this view, that is activity main2.xml. So when you use find view by id, it knows that the current view object is activity main2.xml. So that is where it is going to search. But in the case of fragment, it differs. The way how it differs is we are instantiating a new root object, right? As you can see, you are instantiating a new root object. So you would have to use this root object, and within that you would have to use the find view by id function in order to get the current view object context. So that is how a fragment basically differs from an activity. I hope you understand. If you have any doubts, you can put it down in the comment. So we'll just head up coding the home fragment. So we do not need that. At the same time, we'll just remove that too. And in the front end, I do not want an empty object. You are not able to see that because it will be executed only in runtime. But that is not the actual case. You can Do not mind about that home view model. Home view model is the thing which was instantiating that text view, which has to be run in real time. So that is not our case. We are just gonna be doing it statically. So we'll just go ahead. I'm gonna use the same UI out here. So I'll just go ahead. I'll take out from here to, I do not need the edit text. So I'll just copy this image view. I'm gonna put an image view. I'm gonna take that. Up our image view. So our image view, we are not gonna use our image view here anyway. So anyway, I'm just gonna name it otherwise. So let it be named as 5. So other thing is I want a different background color which I have in main activity 2.xml. I'm just gonna, and I'm gonna put it right here. Then anyway, I'm gonna need to edit text. So I'll just edit text. I'll change that. I'll obviously need a button. I'm also taking this button. Not need a text view. Just go ahead, paste all of them here. But then we would have to make a few changes because what am I gonna do in the home fragment first? In the home fragment, I'm gonna do something else. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna update my name and phone number to my current database. And if I have already signed up in the database, I'm just gonna retrieve my content. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. So we'll just remove all the constraints so that our data, our thing doesn't look any clumsier. So just remove all the constraints. Then we'll put it to the place where we want it, and then we'll start all the editing works. Now I'm gonna have to change it from email. I do not want an email over here. Instead of input type first, change your input type. We do not need a text email address. What do we need? We need a text, right? We need a text person name. I'm just gonna use it, and then instead of email, I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna change it to person. So it will be person. So, and I would have to int up a different string, which is gonna be name, and we'll extract the string resource. That's it. And then this password is not gonna be password. This is gonna be a phone number. So yeah, it's gonna be a phone number, and we'll just change the and the string is gonna be phone. And instead of this button is gonna be named something like button 5, and we're gonna put an ID like update. And what else is remaining? The string is not gonna be login. The string is gonna be like eight. So it is many of our content are not vertically constrained. That's why it's showing up an error. We'll just constrain them. Now all our errors are cleared. That's it. We are almost done with our front end. So we'll just go to our backend part. Now what is our code supposed to do? Our code is just supposed to load up my name and my phone number if I have already given my name and phone number. If I have not given my name and phone number, it would have to accept the data from me, and it would have to put it in the database. So that is what my code is supposed to do. Without any further ado, let's get to our backend. So here, what are we supposed to do? First, we'll just what are the components we need? We need to edit text. We need a button. We're just gonna go ahead. We'll declare it. So what we need edit text. So let me put up edit text. One will be my name, another will be my phone number. So I would need two string objects in order to handle them. So one will be name, another will be phone. Then what else do we need? We need a button. So button. So that button is basically going to be update. Let me put it as update. now we are onto the main part where we are going to instantiate all our objects. So name equal to root. Root is the object which is setting my current view object. So I'm going to have to use root object. So root dot find view by id r dot id dot person name, right? So edit text person. So that is what we used. So I'm going to put it there. So the same goes for phone too. So phone equal to root find view id r dot id dot edit text phone, and the same goes for button. So then it is gonna be update. That's it. We have instantiated all our objects. Now we would have to just check them, right? So first, what do? We will check if we'll get the data to both of the strings. That part, name equal to name dot get text. Same goes for phone number. So phone equal to phone get text dot string. If phone dot equals thing is false and name dot equals that thing is also false, then it means that we have data in both of the content. We're gonna do something else. If we do not have the data, we are gonna tell the user that you would have to enter all the details. So in order to do that, I'm gonna show you the generic way of using those. So here we are gonna give something like get, basically gets the current context by itself. We do not have to specify something like home segment. You can also do that. We'll say what the problem is, enter all the details, enter all the time for which it is going to be shown. Then we will hit up show. What else do we have to do? Here we are going to do something, right? So both the strings are not empty. We know that we have content for both the things. So now here comes our database. So what are we going to do? We are going to use Firebase database. So this is Firebase database. You would have to click on that Firebase database. So as soon as you click on that, you would get two options. One is Cloud Firestore, another is real-time database. We are going to just create a database. Always start it in test mode. Click enable. So that's it. Now you get a real-time database. So just go ahead and start using it. So at the same time, on your editor, you would have to do something like tools, base, and within Firebase, get to real-time authentication. Just click here and click this thing, so it adds up all the dependencies, and once it syncs, we'll just get right into usage part. So when you are using Firebase database, you need to first we'll declare database reference, and then we'll instantiate the database reference. Database reference is equal to Firebase database dot get instance dot get reference. So what this basically does is it will instantiate you to the root position. So this is the position where it will instantiate you to. So then we need to create a unique ID for each user. Now how can we generate a unique ID for each user? That is where our Firebase authentication part comes in. So on the previous video, we talked a lot about Firebase authentication, and it basically gives me a unique identifier for each user that is being created in my application. So I can use that part in order to hold the data of each user in my application. So that is what I'm going to use. So I'm going to use this UID. So how do I get that UID? So in order to hold that UID, I'm going to create a string called UID. So now I'm going to use something called Firebase auth. So in Firebase auth, we're gonna, so you do know that in the previous video itself, we talked about Firebase authentication in detail, I suppose. I'll just get to our content. I'll once again show you a quick recap of which part of code I'm using. So in activity 2, so this is activity 2, I suppose. So here we use something like Firebase auth.get instance, right? We are gonna use the same thing. While what this thing basically does, it creates a live real-time object for Firebase authentication. But our part, our need is different. So in this, we use something like Firebase auth.get instance.get current user. So what this does, this gets the current user, but we do not need the current user. We need the UID of the current user. What am I talking about? We need this UID. We do not need all the data of the user. We need this UID. So what am I gonna do is, I'm gonna use the same code in our current home fragment. Firebase auth is equal to Firebase auth.get instance. But beyond that, we are gonna do something else. What are we gonna do? We are gonna get content for that UID string. UID is equal to Firebase auth dot get UID. So get UID. So what this basically does is it gets the UID of the current user. So it gets me this UID. And I use the UID. So we have instantiated Firebase database and we have instantiated Firebase authentication to get the current user ID. At the same time, we do not want the user ID to be null. We need this part completed. We'll also put up a part for that. And not of UID dot equals. So if all three strings are not equal, that means we are ready to go. We'll just go ahead. We'll go ahead and get the data. So in order to get the data, first we'll talk about putting the data up there. So in order to put the data, you would have to use something like database reference dot child of. When you're how Firebase database works is, if there exists a child of that name, it will basically override the same name. If there exists no child of that sort, it will create a new child. So what we are going to do is, we are going to put up our UID as the child, and we are going to use something like set value of which object are you talking about. So it asks you which thing do you want to put as value, but I'm going to have to set a name. So child of name, wait a second, name dot set value name. You'll understand this part the moment our code starts running. So then set value of phone under something called phone. Our current database reference point is our root. So this is where our current database reference is. As soon as this part gets executed, it will create a child to our current database reference where it will be created as UID, our current unique identifier. And then under that, we'll have our name, and under that, we'll have our phone number. But we made one small mistake in this code. This code will never run. The problem with this code is, this part will get executed as soon as the code starts running. We need this part to get executed only when the user clicks on our update button, right? Only when the user clicks on our update button, we need to check if those two strings are equal or not. So what I'll do is, I'll just go ahead. I'll put up something like, we'll just make everything of all. I'm gonna cut all these parts. I'm just gonna, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna do something like set an on-click listener for our update button. So we'll have a new on-click listener, and within this on-click listener, I'm gonna put, once the user clicks the button, we're gonna get the content of our name edit text. We are gonna get the content of our phone edit text. We are gonna check if those contents are not equal to null. If those contents are not equal to null, we are gonna just update those things to our database. So I'll just go ahead and run our application. says that the install is successful. So yeah, it is a new application. So we'll just go ahead. We'll click user sign up. Now I'm gonna give a different ID, so which is gonna be something like and I would have to give a password. So I'm gonna use something like as 1 2 3. Just go ahead and hit sign up. So yeah, now we have signed up, which means that a unique identifier for us has already been created. So this is our unique identifier. So just take a look into it. So this is our unique identifier. So now what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna go ahead and give myself a name, and I'm gonna give myself a phone number, and I'm gonna hit that update button. So as soon as I hit the update button, I get some data over here. So I get something like RTJ, so which is basically my user ID. So I got the data over here to Firebase, and now we have a child called name and a child called phone number with Raga and this stuff, right? So if I put something else over here, what basically happens is it will overwrite the existing child nodes. It will overwrite the value on the existing child nodes. So that is what basically Firebase does. But we do not want that to happen. So once the user sets a data of this sort, so when the first time I am setting a data of this sort, I want this data to be retained every time. So for that, what should I do? As soon as this screen gets started, I would have to check whether my database reference has such sort of child, whether my database reference has my unique identifier as a child. If it has my unique identifier as a child, it means that I would have already entered the data. Basically, you cannot enter something like this. If you are entering something with a null value, Firebase will never have that thing. It will just delete it. So only if I have a child with my current UID, it means that I have data over there. If there is no child at my root value with my UID, it means that I do not have any data in my database. So as soon as my page starts, I would have to check if the current database has my UID as a child or not. So in order to do that, need Firebase database reference. It is already there. We are talking about database reading, so we are going to use something like database reference dot value event listener. What this value event listener basically does is it checks into the values that are being present as of now, and it is basically not null. So we're supposed to give a new value event listener, which will basically put up all the stuff. We'll just need a semicolon over there. Meanwhile, we'll just close up the update part. So everything that has to happen when the user clicks the button is right over here. We'll just keep that short. Now we'll get to our database reference. We are talking about database read, right? So where is our current database reference? Our current database reference is at our root. So this is the place where our database reference is at. So what do we have to check? We need to check if we have our UID in the database. So what would I do? I'm going to do something like data snapshot. This data snapshot will get everything under my root reference because my current database reference is at my root. So I'm gonna check something like data snapshot dot hash child of UID. So I already have my UID there. So if it has something like UID, it means that I already have my data. So I just need to get the data. So what I will do something like data snapshot. I'll use the same name string and my phone number string. So I'll use something like data snapshot dot child of UID dot child of the string which I use over here. I use something like NAME caps, right? So NAME, and the value is basically an object. It needs to be a string, so dot toString, and we'll close that up. We'll just copy this entire section since we are gonna use the same thing to our form too. So form will use the same thing, and we would have to set. And what we have to do, once we get the text, we are just gonna put that text over here and we are gonna set it, we are gonna disable these edit text and the update button. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna do something like so small n is my right. So name dot set text of my name and phone dot set text. I'm gonna disable all my things. So dot set enabled is false. Phone dot set enabled is also gonna be false. And my button is also gonna be set to false. So button dot set enabled is also false. So once it gets and updates the content, all these things will be disabled. So if the data does not have a child, if the database does not has a UID of my child, I would have to enter all my details, right? So what has to happen? Only then I would have to get the content from the update button and I would have to do all the things that I have done so far. So I'm just gonna cut everything down there and I'm gonna put it in the else part. So now we'll just go ahead and run our application. It says reinstall and restart the application. We'll just go ahead and hit that. So we'll wait for our application to start. So as soon as my application starts, it will get directly to the content. And what happens here? It basically puts something like Raga and Raga. Wait a second, we made some small mistake. But I did not change it over here. So that is why it does that. So instead I'll give phone. Changes and runs. So basically now it retrieves the data from the Firebase and none of the buttons or the edit text will be working as of now. As you can just go ahead and click and see, you will not get any of these updated. And you might wonder what happened to that space that was above. So in order to remove that space, you would have to do something like in your main activity 3.xml, you will have something like padding for app bar size. Just take that out. That space will be gone. So that's it. If I change the data over here, it will automatically change in my application too. If I put a 1 over there and if I wait a second, have split screens, so it is easy for us. I'll update you. Whenever I update the data, it is gonna just get changed over here. So Raga 1, 2, 3. I hit enter, the data is gonna get changed in my phone. This is real-time database. So this is how we do Firebase data write and data read. So everything is done. On the next video, we'll have something like how to do content upload to Firebase and content retrieve from Firebase. We are gonna upload an image to Firebase and then we are gonna retrieve an image from Firebase. That is, we are gonna see the next two major sections of our applications together. So thank you all once again. This is Raghavendran. I'll put up all the GitHub codes, all the codes in GitHub, so you will be able to download them and check them out. If you have any doubts, I will just categorize them and split them and I'll put them in the comment section. You can get it from there. So thank you all once again. This is Raghavendran signing off. Stay tuned to the course. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you.